Ladies and gentlemen, for a long time, many people have been talking about how the US currency will eventually fall. And we have heard this for a long time because it's not backed by nothing but their word. Now, I want you to look at the people whose word it's backed by and look at their word all throughout history, and you'll be on the floor laughing. Okay, their word ain't worth a pile of dog do. And I think the rest of the world know this too. And I think many of these countries are now realizing they made a fatal mistake following the US's lead in anything. They made a fatal mistake. So now you see all of these other nations, they have their currency. Their currency is backed by something, such as gold. The US money, fiat currency, backed by my word. Yeah, like that's really worth something. So this came out on RT.com. JP Morgan says dump US dollar as its century of global dominance coming to end. All right, so this came out July 24th, 2019, RT. And well, this is really symbolic, a trash can full of money. The US dollar will struggle to remain the top international currency in the coming decades as the rising power of Asia economies is set to undermine its leading position. Wall Street Bank, JP Morgan Chase has predicted. Well, a lot of people have predicted that for a long time. The US dollar has been the world's dominant reserve currency for almost a century. The bank's strategist, Craig Cohen, wrote in a report earlier this month. However, we believe the dollar could lose its status as the world's dominant currency due to structural reasons as well as cyclical impediments. Many other currencies came to their demise throughout history thanks to shifts in global economic centers, which is now poised to move towards Asia, the strategists point out. While China's ascension to global superpower status is believed to be one of the factors of this shift, it is not the only one. Now, China has been trying to boot the US out of the top spot for a long time. And that's why they're using drugs to weaken the country. And if you go in their history, they did this in their own country when they were trying to make it communist. All you got to do is read their history. You would know this. They always use drugs as a form of warfare. But you got so many people weakened by opioids and fentanyl in this country, they're just going to play right into the hands of the Chinese and doing a bang up job. The Asian Economic Zone as a whole, um, from the Arabian Peninsula and Turkey in the west to Japan and New Zealand in the east, and from Russia in the north and Australia in the south, accounts for 2/3 of global economic growth and 50% of global GDP. The growing purchasing power of the region will boost the number of non-dollar transaction, eroding the greenback's reserve currency status and setting the grounds for its replacement as the dominant international currency, according to the bank. In other words, in the coming decades, we think the world economy will transition from the US and US dollar dominance towards a system where Asia wields greater power, JP Morgan concludes. The only advice here, according to the bank, is to get rid of US dollar overweighs in investment portfolios and to diversify. While some banks are dumping the dollar in favor of the euro, others prefer a more stable source of value, gold. Wow. So a lot of banks are now dumping the US dollar. That's really interesting. As the looming shift is already being felt by some, the demand for the precious yellow metal was at its height in most of half a century. In 2018, Russia and China are leading the gold rush, having added 16 and 7 tons, respectively, to their central bank holdings in May. Both Russia and Beijing boosted their bullion reserves by more than 70 tons in the first 5 months of this year. Wow, that's a lot of gold. Yeah, looking at that amount of gold compared to some fake money out of the US, yeah, I guess the world is shifting. Ladies and gentlemen, this is inevitable. It's going to happen. America is definitely not going to be a superpower for long. And you can see the shift happening. If you don't believe this, go look at the UN meeting. I remember watching those meetings even 20 years ago. And, people had a lot of respect for the US. Watch those meetings now. They talk to the US like dirt now. And they have no respect for these folks at all. They don't respect them at all. I remember when Nikki Haley was in there. Oh my goodness, they talked to her like she was garbage. A couple of times she would respond, and the country she was responding to would get up and walk out while she was talking. They didn't even want to hear what she had to say. Or you would see them take a vote, and all of them would vote against the US. So, no, the status of the country is definitely changing. And as far as I'm concerned, they were lucky to even have a dollar backed by nothing, have world dominance in the first place. You know, we have seen America all throughout history go back on your word, break all kinds of promises, break treaties, and do all sorts of things, but you think your word should be good enough? I mean, that's just laughable that you feel that way. But hey, you're allowed to feel any way you want. But I just think that's laughable. And I'm sure the rest of the world is laughing too. That's why your dollar is going to sink. It's going to sink just as fast as your words are sinking. But I have heard conversations about the dollar losing its strength all over the globe for a long time. And as America keeps, a lot of enemies turning on you, I can see it happening. I think, in my opinion, a lot of countries on this earth have a strong desire to get away not only from the US currency, but from the US altogether. They do, you know. And I believe all of the US enemies are going to come together against America. I see that coming in the future too. The dollar is definitely unsustainable at this point. It's going to have to be dumped. You know, you got all of these other countries offering gold currencies, currencies backed by gold. You think your word is like gold. I don't I don't think so. We don't want to go down that trail because I would have to tell you the truth about your word. But ladies and gentlemen, please tell me what you think. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.